So when you pop them in there, you know, you can take them straight in, just pop them straight in, but you really don't want to be leaving them in there longer than 10 minutes. Also, when you buy the degreaser, check on the back, because some of the ones that do affect aluminum actually says yes, this will damage aluminum, so be careful with that. Now, cleaning the pistons and caliper, best thing is a brass wire brush. Just go that original crud and just get these off. So I'm going to give it a bit of a dig. All this, and I'll just give it a basic clean up. Primarily we're just trying to get all the brake fluid off of it. Don't want that on there. Toothbrush is just as good. Clip. That's a spring. What you can actually see is this brake fluid. See all that gunk? You watch how easily it starts to come off. But this is very important that we get this done, because then we can see the condition of the pistons. The wear and tear on these. Okay. Tip. Drop them in there. You see how we're doing it? Just sliding it across the surface. Can we see? See those digs on it? Okay, so now that we've got the caliper out and we've cleaned off the main gunk out of it, what we want to do is we'll just peel down let's get the seals out. Now you can get these picks, so Riley's are about $4 or $5. Now you can actually see here where just along this edge here, you can already see where this piston has been tearing up this seal. It's all chewed up all along that edge, so you can see, you know, that's what's going to cause a problem. And the problem is what that will actually do is then it creates so much friction so that the piston won't retract properly, your brakes will bind, and then also they won't push out correctly, and when they do push out they'll be binding. So that's why these need to be absolutely correct. You can see most pistons of this era are made from steel, and then they chrome plate them, and you can see that the chrome has come away from the surface. So you know, there's just nothing you can do with this. I'll show you a little bit later how to clean up pistons just as we go in that building thing, but let's get the caliper done. So say, get your pick. These just fish straight out. I mean, you know, they're not going to be good for anything, but yeah, there we go. You can see, if you look, can you see that tearing along here? Now this is what they call the dust seal. And the dust seal, the idea is to stop main bolts of crap going down that side, but its actually primary role is a guide seal, because what it will do is it's there to keep the piston nice and straight, because if you didn't have the guide seal, the piston can twist and turn, which will get it into all sorts of problems. So as I say, to us we call it a guide seal, but it's also known as a dust seal. Here we have the important one, which is the pressure seal. Get this dug out. Okay, and look, you see all the crap that's coming out from behind it. This is what causes the problems. I mean, there's lots of varying things that causes this problem, but what you have here, this is aluminum oxide, and it's with the aging of the piston. Now there's certain factors that will increase this, whether it's salt and the water, but you know, here you go, you see you've got piles of it, and what it will do is build up, and then it will actually start to put pressure on the pressure seals, so it actually squeezes the piston too much, and the piston then starts to become stiff, and that's what causes you problems. Equally as much, what happens with rubber, as you know, it becomes old, aged, it starts to dry out and become brittle, and yeah, it's just not serviceable. So they're going to be trash. Let's get the other ones out. There we go, let me see. This one's exactly the same. There you go. You see how it's all sort of torn up there. So, and again, aluminum oxide, all built up. Now we'll go through the cleaning in a bit, but let's get these out. There we go. And you see all the white gunk coming away. You see it just flaking out. So there's your old seals. This is why we've got to do this stuff. I mean, you can already just see the amount of crap that's coming out. Okay, next stage will be Mr. Dremel. Now you can go around using the pick and you do want to do this regardless, get into all of these corners. You just go right around both the upper and bottom corner, because it takes a long time. You want to go around. I mean, I do this regardless, even once we've done the dremeling, because it can pick some of the real stiff stuff in the corners. Now, the pressure seal is the important one, because obviously that's what's there to keep the fluid in, but equal as much you need to work just as hard on the guide seal. Get this all cleaned out. You can feel, as it goes around, you can feel the tip of the pick catch on all the lumpy stuff. Now we have two types of brushes here for the Dremel. Like I say, this really makes the job so much easier, and would strongly recommend. You can get these, they're not actually very expensive these days, nor are the brushes, and it's the way that you really want to go. What is extremely important though is you must use a brass brush, do not use a steel brush. The steel is far too abrasive and you'll actually damage your caliper. You must use a brass, it's soft enough for the aluminum, but you will also be able to get into all the bits and clean all of the crud out of the caliper. This one I generally use for all of the outer surfaces like here. Got a flat one here that we're going to just use for all the edges. Now what you want to try and do is have this as far out as possible. I mean, this is a cheap Dremel, but if you get the better ones you can actually almost like get the pen tips, which is far better because it catches around these hangers on this side. But you can do it, you just have to be a little bit more careful with it. So let's see, go round, you see all the dust coming out of them. It takes about 10 minutes, I would say, going around. You want to get the pick out, see if there's any other particular bits with it that's catching on. So as you can see, it's beginning to look a lot better and a lot cleaner now, if you can see it. And it's, like I say, it's a case of just working through with the Dremel and also the pick. Use the pick to get into those corners, and it helps you just sort of feel your way around. So here you go, you know, that's been round a few times already, and you can still dragging up stuff. You know, look, we've got a pile of the stuff, and that's all just come out of the rings. Let me get this. You do upper and bottom, and drag it around. Again, back to the Dremel. There we just go around in the circles, try to get that upper and lower. Okay, another thing that we're going to do is this is the slide shaft. Now this is actually a really important part of this caliper, and we just need to push these through. There we go. As it's a single-sided caliper, let's get the bugger through. As it's a single-sided caliper, what it needs to do is always centralize, and this is primarily what they use. Now these are prone to getting stiff, and you can sort of see again, look how that's all crudded up. There's no grease on here, but this needs to keep central to the rotor, and this is the only way that it does it. If this doesn't work, you're only going to have two pistons either pushing on the rotor and not actually clamping as it should do, or it will be dragging against the rotor. So it's actually a fundamental piece that you really must make sure you pay attention and get this bit correct. These are the rubber boots, old ones. So, they're not too bad. Oh, no, that one's split. Let's have a look at this one. Yeah, not too bad a condition. I've seen a lot worse, believe me. So again, if you can, again, we want to get this cleaned here. You see all inside that shaft, You want to get all that. Now I use gun things here, and I'll just run through. Again, I want to get some brake cleaner on that, and you want to get that so again it's as clean and as polished as the rest of it. Okay. So now that we've got this all cleaned up with the Dremel, what we'll need to do is then go back and it's back for another bath and give it a good wash out again, back with the toothbrush. Same sort of procedure as before. We'll get it soaked in, washed out completely, and then we'll finish it off again with the brake cleaner just to get that off of it, and it'll bring it up all shiny. And then as we're doing it, we'll go through all the other bits, especially this. You know, you can just feel it. We'll get all of this scrubbed up. For this, I generally find these clean quite well on Scotch-Brite. Again, you want to use detergent and also brake cleaner, just sliding it backwards and forwards, and then this will come up nice. So I'm going to get to and get these done, and then we'll go from there. Okay.